Hello, and welcome to another session of What the. Today's topic of discussion is procrastination versus readily availability. So, knowing that, well, procrastination has negative connotations associated with it, and when readily availability is comparative to a circumstance of procrastination, people would much rather prefer the readily availability aspect. And I can personally attest to this. I mean, we all have heard of, the cable guy or whatever. If you set an appointment, when's the next readily available cable guy to come over and fix the cable? And then you get the person who's the dispatcher, and well, let's see, we got an appointment for next blah blah, which could be a week away or a couple days away, when you'd want it as soon as you called them, ASAP, which would be the readily available opportunity. So now, how do we compare that to our day-to-day living experience? If we needed that service specialist or that accommodation, kind of like an emergency room or a doctor's appointment, the readily available opportunity that can help us physically, well, I've got a story. I have been preaching an opportunity for a remedy for people to rid themselves of a cold at the moment of inception. Now, you think since I've been telling people from day one that, hey, this could work. This could work, and I know it to work because I've had it done before on myself, and it's worked. And that remedy is if you feel the onset of a cold, you have to do 4 things. Take turmeric, take zinc, eat a garlic clove, rub Vicks Vapor Rub on the bottom of your feet and put it under your nose and rub it on your chest. Now, if you do those 4 things, you can pretty much conquer that cold at its inception. Well, how do I know these things work? Because I recently had a cold. And my mom had the cold first. And I was holding off because she was coughing and sneezing and feeling miserable in front of me. And I hadn't had any symptoms as of yet. Although I did start to feel my right nostril run just a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, there it is. But I'm thinking, okay, if I only have this at this point, does my immune system have that built up immunity toward any type of virus? So I waited, and then next thing you know, my right nostril started to get plugged up, and I'm like, oh great. And then my left nostril did, and then I could feel all the mucus building up at that point, and I'm like, oh no. And this was on the second day. And then by the third day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my remedy and see what happens at this point. And by this time, both my nostrils were plugged. I was total head cold. And my ear, I had an earache. And I'm like, I haven't had an earache since I was a kid. So I'm like, how does this happen? So then I took turmeric, I took zinc, I bought applesauce because I knew I needed some vitamin C. And I wanted to have something that would sit in me and just where my stomach had to digest it instead of orange juice where you kind of drink it and maybe it doesn't absorb entirely. At least I know applesauce would sit in my stomach and I would get the most out of it. You know how they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away? That's why applesauce. That's what I was thinking. Applesauce, vitamin C, has to sit in there and you have to digest it. And then I did rub Vicks Vapor Rub on the bottom of my feet and underneath my nose, and I put it in my ears. No joke. In the first day, I felt a difference. It started to work right away. And I took that twice, and I ate a whole jar of applesauce in one day. Had it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the second day, I could start feeling my nose clearing up. It was like the first time I was like, whoa. It started going back and forth where I could breathe out of one nostril and then I could breathe out of the other nostril and then breathe out of the other nostril, and it would go back and forth. So I knew that it was going back and forth to where my nose was clearing up. And then by the third day, which was, this morning, I'm 100% almost back to normal. I feel great. I don't have a fever. I can breathe. I don't have any mucus buildup. I really feel at probably 80%. So, if I would have taken this at the very beginning, I know for a fact I would have crushed it right then and there. So, but I forgot, I had to remind myself, what are those symptoms of what is the onset of the cold? And it starts with a little bit of that your runny nose. As soon as you start to get that runny nose, then you know. And then maybe a headache. You might get a little bit of a headache. But, some people associate those things with stress or something like that. But yeah, you'll notice. Because I used to feel like, I get achy. But I went and worked out the day before, so my back, it was like, I felt like, is that just an ache from my muscles being fatigued? Because I hadn't worked out for a minute. It'd been like a week that I had worked out on my back. So I was making excuses for other symptoms that I typically do not ignore, but understanding what now is the telltale sign, an ache, runny nose, a slight headache. Yeah, that's the onset, and that's when you dive into it. Get your applesauce, get your Vicks Vapor Rub, get your turmeric, and get your zinc. And the garlic clove is just like the kicker. So that is like if you really want to wipe it out. Because that garlic clove, that works awesome. You just take a little garlic clove, chop it up, put it in some water, and just drink it. And yeah. You might stink for a day, but still, yeah. Those things, those remedies, I guarantee you will crush it. Anyway, this has been another session of talking about procrastination versus the readily available knowledge that we can get things done right away. So if you knew how to fix your own cable TV, then you never have to call that and you get it fixed right away. But obviously, that goes into computers and all that other nonsense. But anyway, this has been another session of